Hi and welcome to how I made the Starfield song. Now I often get the question how to make a particular genre of music, or maybe how to replicate the sound of a specific artist. We've done a few of these in the past, but today we're gonna do the Starfield and basically look at trance music. Now if you have any specific genre that you want us to try out and replicate here on the channel, please let me know in the comments. Let's take the tour. Right, so the Starfield actually began as a live performance on this little sweet synth called the Unisynth. I was playing around with some arpeggios sequence from the EP 133, the new Knockout 2 from Teenage Engineering. So I was running a MIDI sequence of notes into the Unisynth and playing around with the filter and switching oscillators and running some of these live performance effects which you can activate, which can make the Unisynth wobble and sound more alive and gritty. And I can't recommend this synth enough. It's below $300 something, so it's definitely one of the more cheaper synths, and it's battery powered. Quite small little desktop synth. The makers of the Unisynth, IK Multimedia, actually have a more recent model of the Unisynth, which is called the Unisynth Pro and the Unisynth Pro X. That said, the original Unisynth is definitely price-worthy and a fun synth to play around with in the couch or outside the house, since it's battery powered. You can watch the full live performance of Starfield on my second YouTube channel. Click the card up here. Right, so after finishing the live performance on the Unisynth and EP133, I brought the arrangement into Logic Pro for further processing and adding more instruments to build it into a full track. So here we have the basic song arrangement in Logic Pro. Here we can see the full arrangement. It's not that many tracks, it's 25 tracks total. And at the top we can see the original Unisynth performance. Now if we first zoom out and look at the total arrangement, it's I think it's 16 bars intro, then we have 32 bars of like the part A, and then we have a breakdown for 32 bars, and then 32 bars part B, and then we have an outro in around 16 bars. And the first thing I added was obviously a kick drum, which the original performance didn't have. It just had the Unisynth and then background drone pad from the Unisynth Pro. So after 16 bars I add a kick drum. And it's quite typical for trance music that you have a quite long sections. So that's why I've split this track into 32 bars, like evolving progressions. The kick drum solo sounds like this. Just a 4-on-the-floor kick drum made with a sample in the sampler. The next sound was adding a snare after 16 bars. Or more of a like snare slash clap sound. Then the third sound I added was this kind of suction sound, which is a reverse snare which sucks into the kick, and it sounds like this. And it's super simple to reverse sounds in Logic Pro. Just select your audio regions and go into the inspector panel for the region. And then you can press more and press reverse. Now this was actually a reverse sample, but I just want to show you that you can very quickly reverse the sounds in Logic. Next up we introduce some claps after the 16 bars verse, or part A. Now since this is a trance track, I went for a quite sparse percussive arrangement, and the next thing I did was adding another of these kind of ripping sounds that rips into one of the claps. a little sound that we can hear prior to the downbeat of the clap. And it sounds like this. Then we also have some hi-hats. It's a hi-hat loop from the basic stock library of Logic Pro, but with the addition of a stereo delay. So this is the clean loop sample, and with the delay to get the sound moving in the stereo field and get a broader stereo image and a sweeter sound. And then I also added a cymbal for that downbeat on bar 16, on the 16th bar. Then I came up with a title for the track, the Starfield, and so I recorded a little vocal ad-lib singing Starfield in a few different voices. And with all the effects and in the context of the arrangement, it sounds really sweet, but if we listen to this without all the effects, let's get rid of the silver reverb, which I used as a reverb for these tracks. It sounds quite silly. It sounds like this. You can hear that some of these are in falsetto, but with the reverb it just sounds gorgeous. Starfield. And then we add back the effects and we get that glorious sweet sound. So, there we have the lyric for the track. Next up, we also have in the intro here some splashes. Now I also added this hi-hat or stereo delayed splashes in the intro to give the intro a little bit more variation. And next up we have the piano solo. Yes, I was basically playing a C minor scale solo there with a lot of emphasis on the 9 or the D tone, D note, as you could hear at some occasions in the melody. But basically it's a C minor. Okay, so the piano I used in the Starfield is from the Pianoverse plugin by IK Multimedia. And we can go and see what kind of piano it is. It is the Gran Concerto 278 and a preset called Delicate Hand. And I just reduced the convomorph effect slightly here with the input. That's like the only thing I did here within the Pianoverse plugin. But as you can see, there's tons of different options and effects in here to mold and shape your piano sound. And you can even go into the actual piano model and add extra harp resonance and stuff. It's a really exciting plugin. Then I just add a ton of reverb to that via a bus here, which goes into Valhalla Room with the new spaces parameter at a quite high value here to get a really large, long decayed sound. Super lovely sound there. Right, so that goes on for 32 bars of piano solo, playing like a melancholic kind of melody. And then we go to the breakdown part, which is slightly different. Now we have an interesting little sound here, which is actually a loop, part of a loop from the Logic stock library, but with some cool tremolo effects. So first I have a slow panning, and then we also have a soft tremolo effect, which I automate with some automation. So I basically increased the depth of the tremolo to make it pump more towards the end of the phrase. And then we have some additional loops from the stock library, which is heavily filtered. Which gives an interesting color with the original chords. And in the breakdown here I'm adding some different chords to this to make it more interesting. We first have a G sharp major. And I think I threw in an F minor there too at the end. And that's a bit crashing effect, obviously with a built-in native bit crusher of Logic Pro with a little bit of automation, as you can see here. Just wanna say and we get rid of the bit crusher. I mean, the track is called Starfield, so we need some kind of bit crushing in there to make it sound spacey. Right, so you heard there's some female vocal samples, also from the Logic stock library, from one of the more recent updates of Logic. And you can find these sweet vocal samples in the Vox Melodics package. Just wanna say you're all mine. With tons of reverb and obviously a filtering here to make it sound bandpassed. Just wanna say you're all mine. Just wanna say you're all mine. Just wanna say you're all mine. An extra percussion loop. Since this is a build-up. Now at the end of the breakdown here, I'm obviously doing what you typically do at breakdowns, and that is add a low cut filter. And I'm using the linear EQ of Logic to make that low cut. And as you can hear, the track hits harder when you do that kind of high passing or low cut just before drop. Now this is a fun little sound made with Zebra 2. It's one of the presets that comes with Zebra 2 called HS Dr. Piston. And I'm doing, as you saw there, I'm doing a lot of automation on the different X2 and Y2 parameters of the Zebra 2 synth. And we also have some Valhalla room on this patch, and also the Valhalla frequency echo, which is a really cool plugin that makes it sound like a kind of wet, weird, spacey sound. It's extremely fun to add as an effect on certain sounds. But it begins with a lot of reverb, and then I reduce the reverb, so at the end it's quite a dry sound. So it comes from within the mix and is pulled out more into the front, which is a nice little thing you can do to your arrangements. Next up, I'm also high passing the kick at the end here to make it softer and softer and basically fade out of the arrangement. Right, so that's the end of this little tutorial of Starfield. Please let me know in the comments what you think, and if you have any questions, and also if you have some other kind of genre that you want us to look at in a future video. Thanks for watching today. Now you can watch the full live performance of the Starfield coming up next year in the video. See you in the next one. Bye.